Under communism, the Russian Orthodox Church was suppressed, its property confiscated, its followers harassed and imprisoned. Now, a resurgent church is central to President Putin's idea of Russian identity, an echo chamber to Kremlin policies at home and abroad. So what lies behind these ever closer ties?
The Russian Orthodox Church claims the allegiance of 3/4 of the population. So it's no surprise that Vladimir Putin acknowledges its importance. Or that its spiritual leader, Patriarch Kirill, returns the favor, calling the president a miracle of God. But some say the relationship between Putin's state and the Orthodox faith goes far beyond mere recognition and expediency, that it's a match made in heaven.
The Russian Orthodox Church has made Russian identity.
Others see it as an unholy alliance, blaming the Orthodox Church for everything from the war in Ukraine to providing cover for intolerance and repression.
Сейчас мы рискуем быть арестованными за нашу веру. То есть как во времена Инквизиции.
So what lies behind these ever closer ties, increasingly evocative of Russia's pre-communist imperial past?
President Putin is our leader that given to us by God.
Clues to the synchronicity between church and state can be found in most corners of Putin's Russia. Take the magnificent Balam Monastery, situated on an island in the middle of Lake Ladoga, Europe's largest. Despite its remoteness, thousands of pilgrims come to the sacred monastery, which according to legend stands on the site where St. Andrew planted a cross. But these days, the island is also home to a private waterside dacha used by President Putin, strictly off limits. It's a sign of the times. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Russian Orthodox Church has seen a dramatic rise in its fortunes.
25,000 newly built or restored churches, 800 monasteries, millions of new believers. We are on other wave, another trend. If in Europe Christianity goes down and values is going down, in Russia we have moral trend back to Christian roots.
Every week, a staggering 19 new Orthodox churches are either built or restored in Russia. Many welcome this increase, including President Putin, seen here opening a new church with Patriarch Kirill, the primate of Moscow and all Russia. But not everyone is happy. Yevgeny Lebedev is part of a group of parents who oppose the church's illegal seizure and now frequent utilization of a Moscow park in order to build a new church.
У нас вот мы пришли, у нас день рождения, отмечаем нормально. Парки, в принципе, для этого и предназначены, для отмечания каких-то праздников, для встречи знакомых, соседей, друзей. Все. А вот такие вот мероприятия надо производить в определенном месте.
Most Sundays, he and dozens of other locals gather to show their opposition. But to openly question such developments carries a risk, as Yevgeny discovered in November 2016. His home, along with 11 others, was stormed by police officers in nighttime raids across the capital.
С криками на пол, ворвались сюда, кто-то меня схватил за плечо. При малейшем желании повернуть голову, посмотреть, что происходит, мне ее Поворачивали обратно, смотреть не давали. Я только краем глаза видел, что жена вышла и слышал, как заплакали дети.
The officers were investigating a possible violation of a relatively new Russian law that makes it a criminal offence to insult the feelings of religious believers. The raids were broadcast on national TV, with the patriarch denouncing Lebedev and his friends as pagans and cultists.
Я считаю, что это было сделано специально для того, чтобы поднять какую-то шумиху и под эту шумиху нас наказать. Потому что Русская Православная Церковь, к сожалению, у нас имеет большое влияние сейчас совместно с государством. И тут какие-то жители пошли поперек и не дают свой парк в обиду.
The new legislation was introduced in the wake of a now infamous anti-Putin protest by punk band Pussy Riot in Moscow's Christ the Saviour Cathedral in 2012. When members of the group mounted the altar to satirize the increasingly cozy relationship between the church and state. Following the protest, members of the band served 2 years in penal colonies.
These laws are based on fear. And actually all this power, all Putin's power based on fear, to lose this power. That's why they try to ban everything. It means that you're afraid of that.
We wanted to talk to the Russian government to get a response to these claims and find out why it feels so strongly that insults against religious sensibilities should be a criminal offence. Though blasphemy laws are still in place in some parts of the world, Europe and the West put more emphasis on protecting freedom of speech. None of the officials we contacted were prepared to be interviewed. Critics claim the wide scope of this law has given a green light to religious zealots bent on stifling any views they disagree with.
Кто идет против православия, против Господа нашего Иисуса Христа, против Святой Руси, анафема, анафема.
The country is now awash with groups who hark back to pre-revolutionary Russia and the monarchy, like the Orthodox banner bearers, whose motto is orthodoxy or death.
Слово джихад означает священная война, ничего другого не означает. Священная война – вещь правильная. То есть за какие-то высшие ценности люди готовы умереть. Ну, православие или смерть? А что в этом такого?
Perhaps the most controversial and belligerent of these groups is Sorok Sorokov, founded by Moscow businessman Andrei Kormukin.
В очередной раз в парке Коломенское устраивается праздник молодежи православной.
Every autumn, the group holds this extraordinary event. Their own muscular brand of Orthodox Christianity is very evident.
Есть человечество, которое верит в Христа, и оно, соответственно, христианское человечество. Есть человечество, которое не верит в Христа в разных формах, значит, оно антихристианское человечество. Да? Вот и все.
Sorok Sorokov are frequently compared to neo-Nazis. They are unashamedly nationalistic and, say critics, are openly intolerant of other faiths.
Ушли печень, ушли сбоку.
Россия, Третий Рим, центр веры, духовности, последний, наверное, в этом мире. Это Россия.
Sorok Sorokov are deployed to deter protesters at church construction sites.
Мы являемся чадами Святейшего Патриарха Московского и всея Руси. Мы участвуем в патриарших службах, мы помогаем поддерживать порядок на патриарших службах.
But more liberal elements within the church feel uneasy about the patriarch's links to such groups.
В 90-е годы в нашей стране любой олигарх считал нужным обзавестись такой небольшой своей личной армией наемников, охранников и так далее, да? Создать небольшую свою частную военную компанию. Вот такое ощущение, что патриарх Кирилл вот сейчас решил сделать то же самое для самого себя. Такие много колец охраны вокруг него на каждой службе и так далее.
Those who criticize wrongdoing from within the church can face chilling consequences. The Nikitsky monastery is Russia's oldest. When former monk Mikhail Baranov exposed how his superiors had encouraged a husband to abandon his wife and child in order to join the monastery's choir, he was abducted and taken to a nearby forest, hung upside down and beaten.
Привязали меня скотчем к березе, ноги и руки, кровь прилила к моей голове, руки быстро онемели, завязали рот скотчем, причем палочкой пробивается отверстие во рту, чтобы тебе было удобно, ты не мог кричать, то есть ты мог только дышать через нос. Понял, что эти люди вообще занимаются это не первый раз такими вещами.
Baranov now runs a website exposing the clericalization of Russia and what he says is the church's involvement with neo-fascist paramilitaries.
Что режим Путина, Медведева антинародный, а патриарх Кирилл это все поддерживает.
The former monk believes it is essential to raise public awareness before Russia reaches the point of no return.
Я не смогу об этом молчать, что такие вещи происходят внутри церкви, и при этом она считает себя поводырем нравственности для народа.
But Mikhail Baranov is fighting against the tide. Ultra-Orthodoxy is becoming mainstream. Zagrad TV, a staunchly Orthodox channel, was launched 2 years ago and boasts Russia's fastest growing audience. Its proprietor, Kremlin-connected investment banker Konstantin Malofeev, says he is on a mission to spread the word about God and Putin.
President Putin is our leader that given to us by God. Nobody could imagine that we would get a leader as a Putin, the leader who can make so many steps for Russia to be back on its values.
The hot topic dominating the schedules is Matilda, a film which portrays Tsar Nicholas II, a canonized Russian Orthodox saint, as an adulterer.
Что стоит за провокациями, которые направлены на дискредитацию Русской Православной Церкви, на ваш взгляд?
Исторически ничто так не сплачивало русских людей, как защита земли и веры.
One cinema has already been torched, and last month the lawyer representing the film's director was targeted by arsonists.
То есть они профессионально работали, они были в масках, в таких худых капюшонах. Там машину сожгли за минуту. Я думаю, что они хотели напугать не меня, они, мне кажется, хотели напугать общество, потому что не надо смотреть это кино. Если вы будете смотреть это кино, вы будете страдать. Да? То есть это та история, когда люди пытаются нам диктовать, как жить, там, как одеваться, там, куда смотреть, какие фильмы, какие книги читать.
There is nothing to tie Zagrad TV to the incident, which it condemns. But in general, it makes no apologies for its mission to promote orthodoxy across Russian life.
That's our aim, to help our church. We live now in Russia in a period of triumph of Christianity. Look at the West. The West becoming to be less and less religious and losing any values.
According to the channel's editor-in-chief, Alexander Dugin, democracy and liberalism is a satanic idea that spells a death sentence for humanity.
That is the idea of liberalism and globalization, and political elites that rule United States, the Western Europe, and that is satanic army.
Conversely, Putin is viewed as blessed.
Putin is symbol. He reflects the Russian society and Russian people.
Мы с вами народ-победитель. Это у нас в генах, в нашем генном коде. Это передается у нас из поколения в поколение. Мы и сейчас победим. И я вас хочу спросить, мы победим?
The crucial point is he doesn't belong to the globalist elite. In that sense, he is exception because he is not part of this army of Satan, and it is enough to be regarded as a kind of saint.
Zagrad TV pushes Putin's geopolitical agenda. Its proprietor has even been accused of fueling the pro-Russian rebellion in neighbouring Ukraine. There have been press reports which link you with Ukraine, with what's happening in Donbass. Are you happy to talk about that?
No, please. It is not a new page, and we are almost over. And your film about Orthodoxy and Christianity. Let's squeeze Donbass.
We don't want to talk about Donbass.
No.
Malofeev denies involvement in the war in Ukraine, but is on an EU blacklist of those deemed responsible for the conflict. Indeed, two of Malofiev's former employees became defense minister and prime minister of the breakaway Donetsk People's Republic. There is little doubt that Orthodox Church members are heavily involved in Donbass. Pavel Shulzhenok is a priest, as well as being a member of the Russian Imperial Legion, a paramilitary group who see it as their religious duty to retake Ukraine.
Вообще у нас очень широкая поддержка среди духовенства Русской Православной Церкви. Мы постоянно находимся в тесном контакте с нашими священниками, мы окормляемся у них, и, естественно, у каждого из нас есть благословение на то, что мы делаем.
Shulzhenok has served 3 tours of duty in Donbass, seeing action on each occasion.
Проливали там кровь, и свою, собственно, и кровь противников. Вот, поэтому у нас есть реальный боевой опыт, действительно.
Блокпост, который штурмовал наше добровольческое подразделение, имперский легион.
А Украина – это, собственно, часть России, причем очень важная часть России, потому что в Киеве, как мы знаем, было совершено крещение Руси. Там родилась наша нация. Мы не можем отказаться от этой территории в принципе. Если даст Господь, мы сможем взять под свой контроль как можно больше стран.
But it's not just in matters military that the Russian Orthodox Church is making its presence felt. A raft of new socially conservative legislation is turning back the clock. Among the laws promoted by a patriarchal commission is one which effectively decriminalized domestic violence. Svetlana and her 3 children are in hiding from an abusive father and husband.
И 20 января 2017 года он попытался меня задушить на моей работе, на глазах у детей. Ему это практически удалось, я потеряла сознание, он бросил меня лежащей на полу и снова забрал старшего ребенка. Причем вот Женя, он сказал, что мамы больше нет, и ребенок 4 дня думал, что все, мама умерла.
Under the new law, a person is allowed to beat his spouse or child until she is bloodied or bruised, as long as the injuries don't require a hospital stay. The most severe penalty for such an offence is a fine comparable to a parking ticket. The Church in fact, seem to encourage this idea.
Yes, I believe in God, but I don't go to the church because I just stopped believing in people who work in the church. Because one of them said to me that I am treated the right way, and it is all my fault that I chose the wrong man. And after that, I stopped going to the church.
Perhaps the most controversial law with strong religious implications introduced by the government of Vladimir Putin is the anti-terror Yarovia law aimed at extremists. It's sundown in Moscow, and we've been invited to a secret meeting by a group considered so dangerous by the Russian government that their activities have been outlawed. At any moment, the police could raid this flat.
Руку он отдал, где бы они ни жили, сыновья человеческие.
You might be surprised to learn that these people are, in fact, Jehovah's Witnesses. Are you not at risk every time you meet and gather to read the Bible?
Да, более того, мы рискуем каждый раз, когда просто заговорим с каким-то человеком о Библии, даже не о своих вероучениях, а сам разговор о Библии может вызвать подозрение у человека, что мы принадлежим к организации свидетелей Иеговы или к вероучению, и он пойдет, заявит на нас полицию, как было такое.
Last June, 15 armed FSB officers raided a private home, arresting Dennis Christiansen, a Danish Jehovah's Witness married to a Russian.
Я считаю, что вы не имеете права ни на то, что... Правовое основание. Покажите постановление, что вы имеете право.
A court ordered his pre-trial detention for 2 months. Christiansen could face up to 10 years in prison. His crime, attending a prayer meeting.
Он не видится со своей женой, он не может общаться ни с кем. Он, по сути, в какое-то время даже находился в одиночной камере. То есть, как во времена инквизиции.
Дело в том, что, во-первых, это было бы смешно, если бы это не было больно для некоторых людей. А смешно то, что религиозная организация, которую за пацифизм преследовали в Третьем Рейхе и в Советском Союзе, и эту организацию обвиняют в экстремизме в путинской России.
The law imposes strict restrictions on non-Orthodox religious groups that hark back to the dark days of the Soviet Union. A 1997 government commission concluded that most top clerics, including Patriarch Kirill, were informers for the KGB, an organization in which Putin was a senior officer and would ultimately control, in its new guise, the FSB.
The church is kissing him on his cheek. The church, I mean, Christianity was banned in USSR. People were killed, repressed, sent years to the labor camps because they were Christians. They were repressed by NKVD, KGB, and now it's FSB. And now church is like, easily forget everything.
В жизни Русской Православной Церкви золотой век. Так хорошо и жирно духовенство не жило никогда.
The irony is that this has only been achieved by the use of brutal methods similar to those once deployed by the communists to suppress the Russian Orthodox Church itself.